Hello, welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast. My name is Mirela,
And I'm Zoe.
and today we're going to talk about episode 11 of Cooking Crush. Episode 11, the most stressful one. This one was
Yes!
surprisingly stressful for Cooking Crush.
The end of episode 10 was stressful. Do you remember I said to you, like, when we were
Yeah.
watching it, that I was getting
Mm-hmm.
stressed towards the end of episode 10? But
Mm-hmm.
that was an acceptable reaction to me because that's fairly standard for an episode 10. Like, you kind of expect to be a little
Mm-hmm.
bit stressed. I was
Mm-hmm.
not expecting to feel as stressed as I did in episode 11. It's often these days the episode where things get resolved. And stuff did get resolved, but a whole more drama kept getting like hinted at or created, and it was a weird episode 11. We had a conversation like when we were watching it. Sort of, it was weird because I think I was ahead of you, or you. I can never remember, but anyway, um, and it was like there were a few things in this episode that made us both kind of be like, and that's actually really the first time that things they've actually done in the episode versus like the way it's been edited or something. Like I really haven't had an issue with how they've done anything so far in this series. In fact, I've really enjoyed everything. Um, as we've mentioned in the past, there was some questionable editing at some point, but in
Yeah.
general, like I've liked everything. But there are some bits and pieces in this that either have me concerned or confused. Not confused. I might be able to articulate it a little bit better as we come up to the things that, you know.
After watching it, I felt like I needed a bit of time to process what just happened because I had a weird feeling and I couldn't express what exactly was bothering me.
Mm-mm. I think it's one of those things. It just felt different. It felt different
Mm-hmm.
a little bit from the rest of the episodes. Um,
It did.
yeah. So, and it was weird because the aspects of it that have been there the whole time, like the sweetness between the characters and the friendship and all of that stuff was great. It was there. It was like normal. There was nothing weird about any of that. But there were just every now and then there was like a component to it where it was like this was kind of, as I said, we'll be able to dive into it as we sort of get to the bits and pieces. But should we sort of start at the beginning?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
So basically, we've got the friends making, by friends I mean Fire and Dynamite and Samsy and Metha making a hot pot, waiting for Ten and Prem to turn up. I love how I think it's Fire says something like, "Didn't they leave at the same time as us? Like, what's
Yeah,
taking them so long?" Um, and of course we
a
have
lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happened
yeah,
to
a
them.
lot of stuff out there. Yeah. Turns out later on you'll find out lots of shit went down. But yeah, so and of course we see cutie pie little Pang, who's eager to enjoy their food until Samsy and Metha arrive, which is just really weird to me. I've seen all
It
sorts
is
of
very
theories
weird.
on Twitter and on Tumblr and stuff about like why she quickly changed her mind about wanting to eat with them when she saw Samsy and Mather. And my immediate thought, because I was fully on the Samsy and Metha are totally going to be a thing train, and now I'm very unsure, um,
Hmm.
was that she just went, oh crap, it's a bunch of couples. I don't want to be here for that. Because she already knows that like Prem and Ten are like, moon eyes for one another.
Hmm.
So she probably just went, oh, well, this is not going to be, something. Oh, that was my immediate thought. But then I saw people going, oh, does she like Sam C? And I was like, I was horrified at that. And I'm sure people were going, oh, why, Zoe? What's wrong with that? And the reason why I was horrified, because she's still in high school and isn't he meant to be like 10 years older than the rest of them who are in university? So I'm like, he's a lot older than her, like a lot older. So, I mean, I suppose if you're a teenage girl, you can have crushes on people who are older than you. But it just seemed like a weird thing to introduce into the. This is what I mean about weird things about this episode. If that is what they're going to do, and it's funny because someone, Pim did a live stream, I think yesterday or the day before or something, and someone asked her the question about it, and she was like, "Oh, no spoilers, you'll have to watch and see." And I'm just like, if that's what they're doing, it's so weird. What a weird thing to introduce in episode 11 in the most briefest kind of way,
Yeah.
only to, I guess, bring it up again in the last like, why would you, why? This is not a story arc that needs to happen. Like, it's just bizarre if that's the case. I just, yeah, I don't know. I thought that whole bit was really weird. It kind of threw me. That was the first part where I kind of went, and as I said, at the time when I was watching the episode, I just went, oh, she just doesn't want to sit with all the couples, because that's what I would be like too. If my immediate assumption would be like, oh, great. Yeah, okay. And then, and so it wasn't until sort of I saw other people talking about perhaps they're having a crush or something, and I just kind of thought, well, it has to be Sam C, because she wouldn't have seen Metha before. So just like, he's so much older, and that kind of was like throwing me off. And then I was like, but why would you introduce that? That's such a weird thing. So I don't know, maybe it won't be anything. Maybe it's just one of those things where, you know, like they make like to mess with you, and just, you know, there's no purpose to it whatsoever. Or maybe there was meant to be something and it got cut. I don't know. I'm I actually worked out one of the things that I think is my thing with this episode is I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like this episode seemed to me like this was the cut version. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Because it seemed like there were bits and pieces from various scenes that really needed to happen in this
Oh yeah.
episode, or should have been included, and they
Yeah.
weren't. And so I was like, a couple of times I was like, maybe I'm watching the cut version by accident. Like, I literally questioned it a couple of times, because I was just like, it just, and I feel like that's why it felt weird, because it felt like some of the scenes weren't complete, and they've done that to us before with the weird editing. So that it could be that we'll see things next week, but I'm concerned, because we literally only have one episode left, and I'm like, unless it's like a 4-hour episode, which, yeah, like, okay, I'm down for that. I don't see how they can shove it all in there. So anyway, but I think that's what it was. To me, it felt kind of like it should have been the cut episode. There were bits missing from it. But anyway, so and things like this were included, which were just like totally weird and random, and had me scratching my head going, okay, it was nice to see Pang again, Pim's character, but also I was just like, why? If they wanted to use her in this episode, a good place to use her would have been with the whole note situation that comes up later between Ten and Prem, because it's a note that she wrote. So like, bringing her into the episode in that sort of functionality of that scene would have made more sense to me than having her randomly being like, hi, yeah, I'll eat food. Oh no, I can't, because there's 2 extra people and one of them I may have a crush on. I don't know. It was just weird.
I don't think she has a crush on Sam C. It feels
I
like a
don't
big
think
thing to introduce at the end of the series. So far, everything that we know about her is that she forgets stuff, she lost the money, she's a very good sister to Bram, she listens to him. I don't see how they could develop the story of her having a crush on Sam C. First of all, because we did not see Sam C have any interest in anyone. We've only seen him have interesting interactions with Metha, and then suddenly introducing Bang with such a thing.
yeah.
It would be very weird. So I highly doubt this is
Well,
what
I
they're
think
doing.
it would be very strange, because especially because, as you said, like, I actually don't think we've had a scene where the two of them specifically have interacted at all in this show. Have
Yeah,
we? I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
No. It was very strange. But anyway, and then I was just like, as I said, that wasn't my immediate thought either. It's just something that I kept seeing on social media, and then someone actually asked her about it, which I was just like, and I'm like, I don't want that. I want Samsy and Metha. And then it was like, you know, lots of like
No,
exclamation points.
I really don't see that happening. It must be something superficial. It must be something that's not very important. Although her reaction was pretty drastic.
Well, it's
Suddenly
funny,
she had
but
this stressful expression on her face, and she like not hungry anymore, even though she said she was really hungry at
Yeah,
first.
yeah. So I don't know. It was a bit weird, but and I did like Pim's response to
Yeah,
the
but she
person.
basically winced when she saw them,
Yeah.
when she
Yeah.
saw
I don't know.
them and stuff.
Unless she thinks she's done something embarrassing in the past or something. You know what I mean? Like when you're younger and like maybe you do something stupid around an older sibling's friends or something, and so suddenly you're like so embarrassed, like it's one of those things you're mortified about, but like they actually don't even remember it because it was so insignificant to
Uh-huh.
them that they don't like they don't even remember it happening, sort of thing. And yet, you know, like you're mortified every time you see them. So I mean, it could be something dumb like that, but even still, why include that? Like, to me, that's just wasted storytelling, you know. Anyway, let's see what happens. But then we, of course, we get Prem being extremely shy, which is just very interesting to me. But anyway, um he's such an interesting character. Like, he's so serious and so like concerned about what everyone else thinks, which is a little sad actually. I mean, I get
Well,
it,
it
but it,
is something that is a characteristic to people who have low self-esteem.
yeah.
They care about other people's opinions.
I mean, I think there are different levels to it because, I mean, as I said, I know you and I have had this conversation before. I'm very much a person where, like, if I don't care about you personally, I don't really mind if people like me or not, or if they think I'm loud and obnoxious, or they think I'm a nut job, or like whatever. Like, I don't, you know, sticks and stones, whatever, right? But you know,
Hmm.
if I care about you, then I care about your, you know, your impression of me or your thoughts about me, and things like that. And I don't know necessarily if that is built into self-esteem, or whether it's about like tied into like my feelings and affection for that particular person, or and I want them to reciprocate it. I don't know. It's hard
Maybe
to
it's also
explain.
about how flexible you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because I think, for example, in their dynamic, in their couple, Tan is the one who is more rigid. Like, he's confident about what he wants, who he is, what he's
Mm,
going to do. If he sets a goal, he's going to reach that goal and no one can stop him, right?
yeah.
Well, Prem is more flexible. If something is hurting his friend, he is considering changing the way he acts. If like Tan is getting affected by their relationship, he pulls back.
Mm,
If like people don't like them participating in this context, and if they think that they're not good enough, he actually questions, and he if they should participate at all or not, right?
mm, mm, mm.
He cares a lot, and I feel like he is willing to make a lot of sacrifices and
Yeah, he's very empathetic for his people
compromise
he cares about.
a lot.
Yes, that's very true. Considering
Yeah.
parts of my personality that might be flaws,
Why
based on your
flaws?
description. Sorry.
Why do you think being flexible is a flaw?
No, no. I'm now thinking, am I too rigid? Me personally, I'm saying, like, am I flawed? You've now got me questioning, am I flawed? Because I know I'm not that flexible, but I feel like I do bend for people that I care about. As I think it depends. I think it depends on a lot of things. But he's very interesting because he has that component, but he does definitely have low self esteem as well. So I just feel sorry. I feel sad for him sometimes. Um, and when he's shy like this, I'm like, you know, it's kind of filtered in through that, but also it's kind of cute because it's just like a facet of his personality. I think he's just in general a really private sort of person as well. Like, he's very considering of everything too. Like, you know,
Hmm.
when he was like weighing up the options of, you know, this possibility that maybe Ten liked him back, you know, when he realized that the girl wasn't a girl, it was his mom, and things like that. Then he then sort of started considering the possibility of it. He was so serious about it. So, but yeah,
Maybe
I
he
love.
feels like he has maybe he feels like he has to be the one who maintains a bit of control of the relationship, because if he lets him, Jen will be all over him all the time.
I feel like that trigger is in him as well, because, but I just feel like he is. It's how they both approach it. Like, it's funny. Like, there's a scene later on. I think it's when they're in the kitchen together alone, and Ten says to him about how he doesn't want to eat the food that Prem cooked him, which is like a first.
Mm-hmm.
But then he wants to eat something else, and then he's like, "What do people in relationships eat?" Like, he's full on flirty and being like, like, "How about it?" kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and Prem is just like a deer in headlights all of a sudden. Whereas every other time when they've kind of gotten really frisky with one another, it's just, you know, they've just gotten intimate, and then it's been all there's like no restraint on either part. But like when Ten actually like vocalizes, like voices his flirting or whatever, like it's like something in Prem's brain like stutters or something, and he's just suddenly just like frozen and like don't be stupid kind of thing. Like, he's just like, you need to Ten needs to be more stealthy and like sneak under his like defenses. If he like tries to sort of describe to him what he's gonna do or whatever, Prem is just gonna get shy and like run away.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he might surprise us.
True.
So then we have the scene where they receive the feedback on the
Oh,
show, on the episode,
but
and I did
before
not.
we get
What?
before we get to that, sorry, I just loved how happy all of their friends were for them when they like said that they were finally together. I loved that. I thought that was the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also, the other thing I found interesting about this episode is, once again at the beginning of this episode, we saw the sign. They focused on this. I want to know if there's a reason for this, because they've done it like multiple times throughout the show where they've focused on the sign above Prem's house, the one that says, "This house is blessed with happiness and comfort." Like, literally,
Mm-hmm.
I think every second episode almost they've focused on it like quite significantly, and it's like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
nice sentiment, but it's like, is this tied into like whatever message there, like what's the the resolution of the episode or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting, and I noticed it again. I also, before we get to the scene where they started getting their feedback, I really liked the scene where Dynamite was teasing them for being sweet, where like Ten came to feed Prem,
Mm-hmm.
and he got all jealous and started yelling out to Fire, "Get a meatball ready, I'm coming, you better feed it to me as soon as I get there." And they were just, it was a very cute, funny scene.
Yeah.
And I
I
feel like
agree.
also in this beginning part of the episode, especially, I feel like Ten joined the characters of our podcast that we've been doing, like podcasts we've been doing so far, that have welcomed everybody to essentially at episode 11 start doing the drinking game, the every time someone says boyfriend drinking game, because my boyfriend hasn't eaten yet. My boyfriend. So yeah, he
I wish
says
I wish the
boyfriend.
episode wasn't airing on Sunday, because I had totally do the drinking game for episode 12.
I know, right? There was a lot of boyfriend talking in this, for sure. It wasn't just them as well. You had Far and Dynamite as well, sort of being very cute. And I just, as well, sorry, before, while they're still in the kitchen and Prem says to Ten about would he like to taste the sauce, and then he puts it on his hand and Ten licks it off his hand, I'm just like, why? Why not use a spoon? It's not very hygienic, Prem. Like, why?
He wanted his hand licked, I guess. Also,
I'm just like, why? Okay.
he has his reasons, Zoe. He has his reasons, okay?
I
Are
mean,
you
look,
cook? You don't know the secrets.
I mean, look, I get it. You know, I would probably want him to
Yeah.
lick my hands too, but like, I'm like, I'm just like, it's not hygienic. But then you think about, no, his tongue has been other places, so it's probably okay.
Oh, so the
She's like,
feedback.
right, moving on.
So the feedback on the show, I did
Oh,
not
wait,
expect.
sorry, one more. The bit where Metha got up and sat next to Sam C so that Prem and Ten could sit next to each other. I'm like, I was all excited. I kept getting excited for bits in this episode for Metha and Sam C, and they just never followed through. All right, okay, now let's talk about the results. The feedback from
Yeah,
the viewers.
the feedback. Attempt number 20 to talk about the feedback.
Okay, look, I'll just be quiet and wait for you to finish.
I did not expect people to be this mean.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
did.
isn't public usually that's mean to underdogs? I understand the
It's.
edits, but the comments, it didn't have to be this negative.
I
The
was.
comments didn't have to be that rude. What a cruel world they live in.
I just
Why
was
would
really
people be
surprised
mean
that
to them
you were
for no reason?
surprised. I was
No,
surprised that you were
I was
surprised
surprised.
because
No,
we're active on social media and people are mean. So like,
but it's not the majority. It's not the majority, but I feel like the way they talked about it, the way they represented it in this series, it looked like the majority was mean to them. The majority
I think,
decided that they did not deserve to
yeah,
be in this
but there's this weird thing in fandom.
contest.
There's this weird thing in fandom, and I've seen it a bunch of different times and flare up in a bunch of different ways, whether it's like in the BL fandom or like some other fandom, or whether it's like K-pop, whatever, where it's like this mob mentality, and one person starts yelling really loudly about something and then everybody just stockpiles onto it. I feel like what happened, obviously, because when the bullies had posted it, they tagged it a certain way as well. So like the tag, like everything is about hashtags these days and things like that, and things start to trend, and then other people get it, and everybody is like, social media especially, there are so many people who like to just sort of like jump on the bandwagon, and it
No,
just
but
stockpiles on.
the first comments, I mean, the first feedback, the first stuff that we get are just
Oh
the edits
yeah,
about
sorry,
them falling down. And
I'm talking about the video. No, okay, I got
no,
confused.
I kind of understand. I understand the reaction to the stuff from later because
Yeah,
okay, like it
yeah.
was
Sorry,
framed in a certain way,
you're
right?
talking
Like
about
as if
you're talking about just their
yes,
performance on the show. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like the negativity always sounds louder than the positivity on things. So like, and I feel like if you're looking, depending on where you look as well on social media, will depend on like who is louder. So a perfect example was when we were after the last episode of Last Twilight, for example, people on Tumblr were upset and people on Twitter were like, "Oh, it was excellent." Like there were completely different reactions happening on two different social medias, and I think they did eventually sort of balance each other out. But like initially they were quite vastly different. So depending on maybe where they
I
went.
think I think the difference is that we know on Twitter that the people who are involved in the projects, they see the comments,
Yeah.
so people tend to be a bit more careful with
Diplomatic.
what they say, yes, and with their reactions. Diplomatic, yeah.
They're like, no, we're like, no, what if they see this?
I have
Let's
I have seen all kinds of reactions.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not,
Even
as I said, I'm not surprised because I just feel like people are mean. I did
mhm.
I did like the memes though, because I thought that was very realistic, because that is totally something that not only anti fans but like even fans would do. Let's look at some of the memes that we all make for like
That's why I said that it makes sense that the edits were
the
there,
memes.
right? The
Mm-mm.
memes, yeah. But the comments being so mean, suddenly what if this person like is a part of this thing, like if they almost fell and suddenly they're a loser, like it doesn't, it like it was so cruel, it doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like
Like
probably that was a more for drama's sake, because you have to have this
yeah.
moment here where Dynamite is affected, where Samsi is affected, so that Prem can be the one to say, oh no, come on, we can do this. And it's
And it's
interesting
really
because
nice. It's nice how that happens because Bram gets sad a little bit and Ten encourages him with the susu. And suddenly Bram is confident again. And like he brings out the other two as well. And like Ten really is his battery.
yeah, it's interesting because, as I said, him being supportive for his friends, and because he was really full of doubt,
Hmm.
before they, or because of what happened with the I keep wanting to say with the doctor, even though the doctor is 10, with the chef.
Hmm.
He and like the people he heard in the kitchen, like his confidence has already taken a batting ram to it, essentially, or batting, or no, what's that word? Or, I don't know. Anyway, um my words aren't working tonight. Someone had taken a bat to his confidence. And so he was already shaken. And as you said, I was the same. I thought either, as you said, either his Ten's words of encouragement make him feel like it's possible, or he is just that person that you were talking about earlier, who, even though he doesn't necessarily believe it for himself, he'll try and make it so because his friends need it to be that way. Like he can't
Yes.
see them spiraling, so he needs to sort of suck it up and be like, we can do
And
this,
take
even if he doesn't really
responsibility.
believe it.
Take responsibility for the moment, in a
Yeah,
way.
I really like it when they're upset and Dynamite says to, because Fire says something to him like cheer up or something, and Dynamite says to him, even a fun guy can feel devastated. And I felt that so much because I'm a bubbly, smiling person, and people in general always expect you to keep it that way. Like,
Mm,
doesn't
I
matter
cannot
what,
relate.
No. But like, do you know what I mean? I mean, you know personally what I'm like. I mean,
I know.
you've seen all shades of me, but like in sort of like my day-to-day life, for example, if I get quiet, if I'm not, if my light doesn't shine as bright as it normally does or something, then suddenly there's something wrong with me. Or like,
No,
I'm
because I know, like, from my point of view, I know people like this, and it's scary when suddenly a person like this is sad. It makes you panic. You're like, oh my God, what
yeah,
should I do? How do I say them? Like, oh,
I
it's
know.
very
Yeah, I
stressful.
know. One of my other friends said to me once. She said it's really scary when you go quiet. I'm just like, I don't know whether to be offended by that or not. And she said no, no. She said because you light up the space. She said, and then sometimes it's like someone switched you off, and it's like, do we need to do something? Like, and I said to her, sometimes I just need to be quiet. Like sometimes I'm just tired, or like it's often got nothing to do with my mood. It's just like it gets exhausting to be on all the time.
I think that sometimes with people who are like this, when suddenly you see them sad or you see them in a bad mood, you start wondering, what if they actually are like this, but usually they manage to hide this?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
if they spend a lot of their energy hiding this sadness,
The
hiding some
darkness.
kind of emptiness?
Well, I
Yes,
mean, some
and it's a
people
scary
do.
thought.
Yeah, some people do. I mean, look at comedians like Robin Williams and people like that who
Yeah, yeah.
really funny people always seemed amazingly, happy and hiding this really dark, tragic, whatever. I'm not like that. Just FYI. I'm just loud and
If
obnoxious
we're talking
naturally.
about the type, I feel like we need to mention this aspect
It is,
thing.
I completely understand that, but I did like the way that he sort of acknowledged that, because for me that
Hmm.
is a thing, like, and people, and it's weird because like something terrible can be happening and everyone else is falling apart, but if
Hmm.
you do it as well, then it's like everyone's like, oh, what's happening? Like, why you can't be, we need you to be happy, like we
Well,
can't
because
function
there's a
if
big
you're not.
contrast. There's a
Yeah,
big contrast with the people who are like moderate all the time. Suddenly they're a bit sadder, but there's not much of a difference. Like it's not like suddenly they're like a different person, right?
yeah. And I just, yeah, but I really felt it. Do you know what I mean? I really felt that line, and I just was like, I feel like it's
Yeah.
important. So yeah, okay. Anyway, now please continue with the next part that you're wanting to talk about.
I'm like, you have no right to be sad. You're scaring people.
For everybody who doesn't know, I had a really bad day yesterday, and Morella was very sweet to me. I think I was probably a little bit weird. So,
Yeah, she even encouraged me to rewatch Vice Versa for the 70 third
that had
time.
nothing to do with me. I just felt like you wanted to watch it.
I always want to watch it.
You were like, "Oh my
So
god, there's something really wrong with her. She's encouraging me to watch." Everybody's gonna think that I hate Vice Versa. I don't hate it. I just didn't finish
she
watching
actually
it.
she actually said she's going to try watching it.
I
Right?
said
Right?
maybe. I feel like you should have recorded or like stored whatever I said, because I actually don't remember exactly what I said, but I feel like that sounds like a stretch.
Oh, it's there, my love. It's there.
I feel
I
like it
can
was
dig
like
it up
I
for
might
you.
sometime at some point maybe try and have another go, just so that I can tell you all the things that's wrong with it.
As if I don't know what's wrong with it.
No, but like, yeah, I feel like that would be fun
Yeah.
conversations.
I can't wait. So, the note. Him taking it home and leaving it visible like that on the table, even though he knows his dad dislikes Prem, was so stupid. I
Yeah,
was
but I don't.
amazed.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that it was in, because I know we had a conversation. I'm pretty sure we did. I had a conversation about this as well. I feel like it wasn't an intentional thing. Like, I this scene that they did here, I actually really really liked, because not the bit where he took it home, but like the scene. Once again, I don't understand the point of this, of having this post-it note, because Prem didn't even know about it. Although I suppose it opens up like the original intentions of like what happened, and tackles the fact that Prem felt a bit guilty about the whole thing.
Mhm,
But it was a weird way to do it once again. So
mhm,
like I like the fact that Ten is really supportive here. Like, he's clearly found this note, which has shaken him a little bit, upset him a little bit, but he can see that Prem is struggling. And so even though he's clearly got something on his mind, the first thing he does is try to make sure that Prem is okay. And I really liked that. But then he doesn't just bury it either. So he asks about the piece of paper, because, like, I mean, money scammed from Doc written on it, but he clears the
yeah,
air
but
straight away.
even the fact that this piece of paper exists felt weird because they already settled this issue. So basically, it only appeared in the story right now so that it can
Well,
get to the dad. And the way it got
they
there
they have and they
was
haven't, because I don't think Prem and Ten actually have had a conversation about why the money was a thing
yes,
specifically.
but if they were to have a conversation, it would be Ten who would have to do some kind of an explanation because Bram asked him so many times, like, "Are you okay with this? Are you sure? Are you blah blah blah?" Like, it's not like he just accepted the money or like as if
No, but
he.
he's the one that has the guilt over it. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of his issue. So in terms of, okay, if we take away the fact that it is clearly there as a prop to like cause drama with the father next episode. If we take it away from that and we just take it to the fact that it clears the air, like they clear the air straight away. This is one of the things I really like about this show is they talk about shit. Like, they don't just let things fester. So like in any other drama, this would have been one of those things where he would have found it and then like got really angry and like not talked about it for like 2 episodes and blown up or done something stupid or like whatever. Whereas here, he like checked to make sure Prem was okay, because clearly Prem's having a bad day. Then asked him about it. I also liked how Prem explained like basically what had actually happened. Like, there was no lying, there was no, he even said when he was sort of saying, I didn't write it, and he's like, I'm not blaming her, like I did this, but like, like, so he doesn't lie, he doesn't try and make excuses. And I love the
I
whole
agree with
time.
you. It's lovely. The fact that they communicate is lovely. But from the point of view, or from my point of view as like the viewer,
Mm,
it felt a bit weird. The fact that it exists at all felt a bit weird because we know it's going to cause drama and it's only there for that. But also their conversation felt a bit weird because, like, as someone who's watching the series, we
Mm.
already know about Pram's point of view in this situation. So what was more interesting was why Ten was doing that,
Mm-mm.
but
I
they just focused on Pram and his guilt.
They did, but
You
I
know?
also liked, as I said, I also liked the way it was dealt with. If that makes sense, like I get what you're saying,
I
but
understand. Yeah, I agree. I like
I
the
like
fact that they
the whole
communicate.
time,
They're
yeah,
masters
like
of
no, but like
communication.
but like the whole time as well that they're talking about it, Ten is calm. He's speaking
Hmm.
really softly to him. There's no accusations. There's no anger.
Yeah,
You
and
know, like
even he
the
approached
honesty, like
him jokingly and like flirting, and then like,
yeah, like
uh,
he says to him, honestly, I'm hurt, but I understand you, like, and you make me happy, and this is such a small thing, so like how can I not, you know what I mean, how can I not just put it aside?
mhm,
And he shoves it in his pocket because like what else is he going to do with it? I mean, I suppose he could have given it back to Prem, but like it was kind of weird. Wasn't Prem doing something with his hands? I can't remember. But so I get why it ends up in his house, because I know in past I've shoved things places and I've just pulled them out and just chucked them somewhere or whatever. And you in that scene when he's emptying his pockets, like later on when he's at his house, he doesn't
mhm.
pause and look at the note. He's like, he doesn't acknowledge it at all. It's just one of the things that was in his pocket. So like it's not, so I liked all those aspects of it because he's clearly not like hanging on to it, and I'm using air quotations here because he's still
Yeah.
whatever. It's purely and simply, yes, they're using it um a way to I guess cause drama with the father, but also I don't understand how it's really going to do that because the father already knows about this or thinks he knows about it or whatever.
I don't know. They might. Maybe they're lying to us, and the father is actually okay with this already because he saw that Prem was able to handle the situation by himself. Maybe I don't know. Maybe,
I wondered that too because I
the way they
wondered if
the way they framed it in this episode
oh
is
yeah, it looks stressful,
was to make, yeah, it was to make us it look like it's something
like
bad
drama.
just happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
with
did
the
wonder
music
as
and everything.
I did wonder if maybe he might be okay with it because by 10 having this means he knows whatever was going on back then, like he hasn't been, you know, bamboozled or whatever, he wasn't tricked, like he, if he has that note and then says we're boyfriends, he knows about it, like it's not something that happened, it was a misunderstanding or it was like, you know, whatever. So um but then it's also, but his face in that scene, like in the clip where he's holding it, he looks angry, but then I
Yeah.
just maybe that guy's just got a resting bitch face, I don't know. But
And
as I said,
so then, yeah,
Prem's cookbook, we have to talk about Prem's cookbook and Ten's drawing because we have all
it
those
was
sweet
really
little
cute.
sorry,
It was really cute.
we have all the sweet little flashbacks. And I'm just like, why are they so sweet and cute? And I don't mean just Ten and Prem, but I mean also Offgun here. But what I really liked about this is that this was a recipe for being a good boyfriend. Like that's not what they call it, but that's totally basically what it is. And I
Yeah.
think the only thing that was really missing from it was listening. And it's so funny because they have that part down already, so maybe he just didn't feel the need to include it.
Mhm. Then we had the scene in the kitchen, in the
Mm-hmm.
university kitchen, and I don't understand why they are in the kitchen. Why were they in the kitchen?
Well, I think because he wanted to practice. Like he says something to, because it's funny because where before they go to the kitchen, you know, Prem gives him the little cute little like pet kiss, and then Ten wants more, and Prem's like nope, 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 and then basically it's like nope, let me feed you, and then kisses later is basically, he doesn't say that, but that's basically what he's saying by saying no. They end up in
But
the kitchen,
wasn't
I
he
guess.
caught? Wasn't he caught in episode 2?
Yes, but he says, and because we talked about this too, I was like, what is he doing? I'm like, oh, he's living. What did I say? Something like living dangerously. He doesn't care anymore or whatever. He's a badass. But he says to the guard or something that he has permission to be their leader, and he probably has been given permission because they would be practicing for the competition. But, well, yeah, because I don't know, I don't understand how he didn't see Ten's head, because you totally see Ten's head a bunch of times when it's going around the thing. This scene was like, I wasn't a huge fan of this scene, actually, because I felt like it went for a little too long. Like, I would have preferred more conversation between them or something like that. But the going around the bench a bunch of times and like talking to the security guard, they could have done that in half as much time. I did think it was funny and cute and all the rest of it, but as I said, I would have preferred more of a scene of them talking, or like, I don't know, just let them kiss a little bit longer or something. And I was just like, why are they suddenly biting each other?
Because they want to eat each other.
True. I mean, yes, true.
We'll have this is instead of Scrabble, them biting each other.
They're having a meal.
Suggestive biting.
That's right. They're not going to play Scrabble. They're going to have a meal together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ten is like, when he's just like, oh, an ant bit me, and then he bit him on the butt. I mean, like, what did he expect to happen? And then we had the scene that I know you don't really like.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
Yeah.
So Fire and Dynamite get to Fire's apartment, and Fire says no one is here prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fire is like, relax, it's gonna happen sooner or later.
I know, very heavy
Fire
flirting
is
here.
very much,
It's so
yeah,
funny.
Fire
It's so
is so
funny
excited
because
at this idea.
it's so funny because Fire at this point in time is like, oh no, but he's like got this like look of glee on his face.
Yeah. And then the mom appears. She's like, what are you doing? And Fire hits Dynamite. Dynamite flies away and hits his head on the wall or on something. And then the mom looks pained and like it looks like she empathizes with Dynamite. And then Fire runs to him, but then the scene suddenly cuts off, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was weird the way it cut off.
Yeah.
Violence. I don't think violence is funny. It feels like the story that they put so much care into has been suddenly turned into a joke. And as you said, Fire was Dynamite's defender, and now he's harming him.
Yeah.
Like, it was handled carelessly, I feel like.
It's very interesting what the almost word for word what you were saying there. I've got a note here and it says, not a huge fan of the scene with Fire and Dynamite because they used a bit of violence as humor. And I'm like, I don't think it was funny. And I feel like if you're going to do something like that, then you need an immediate resolution of some sort, like straight away.
Yeah,
and we didn't get it.
They cut off, and it's like it doesn't matter what happens next. How can it not matter? Like, this is a big issue in their relationship. Fire, the fact that he told Dynamite that he would tell everyone about their relationship, and now that we have this scene, and then it suddenly cuts off, and I don't understand why it was there at all. Like, I don't understand the purpose of this scene. Just for him to hide his relationship with Dynamite. But if that was the point, why would they insert violence? It's so extreme and unpleasant, and it feels very harmful in this in their relationship, in this situation. It feels even worse than it would feel like if it was another character who did that.
Yeah, I feel like there's two things. I feel like the first thing is what they may have been trying to go for here is, like, once again, I feel like we're missing a scene. I feel like a scene has been cut that should have been in there. And whether that would have been something like with Fire going like, oh my God, I'll never do anything like that again. I'm so sorry. Like, this is ridiculous. No more, whatever. That then prompted him to do what he just does later on, which is like, he doesn't care who sees them together, whatever. They're on television. You can't hide, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they had done it, and then that's what prompted it, and then that would all have made sense. But it's like they dropped it, and then couple the violence of that scene with the topic of violence in this episode, and it seems very like, because we have this whole scene between Tan and his father, which is very hypocritical and very, very annoying, actually, because a lot of what his father is saying is very wise and very insightful, but I feel like to a certain point, like the message is getting lost because of who it's coming from. So
Yeah, I will get to that, but the fact
no,
that they edited it like this is very, very frustrating. And I feel like I probably saw scenes like this in other movies. He could have just shoved him away, like, okay, shove him away, whatever, but why kick him with his foot? And for why make this scene like this so that dynamite flies away and hits his head?
yeah, I will
It's
say on a
it's very extreme, and I don't understand
yeah,
why they did it.
same. I will say on a side note, I'm very impressed that Neo got his leg that high. As someone who used to be a dancer, I was quite impressed by that because that was like it came up very quickly, his leg. Um, but yeah, it's weird. It was a weird choice.
Yeah, because what happened next? What did the mom see that and decided
Well,
my
because I
son
think
is
she
so
was like she had
cool?
kind of a like, what the fuck was that about look on her face, like
Yeah, no, she looked like, oh my God, this is a disaster. This is what I saw on her face. Like she
yeah,
was sorry for Dynamite.
yeah.
I really don't understand what they did here. And we were
It's
talking about it before we recorded, and you said maybe they are going to, like, the continuation of this scene
have
is
like
going
a
to be in
throwback.
the,
Yeah,
yeah, in episode 12. But I feel like they already ruined this,
yeah.
the way they cut it. It
It
feels
needed to be
unsatisfying.
immediately
So
after. Yeah. I wonder as well, like, I mean, if we probably not going to see any of this, but if you're, if these were real people that we were dealing with later on, when she finds out what's going on here, wouldn't you feel
mhm.
horrible as well about this too? Because like this violence, let's say, happened all just to keep you in the dark, so to speak. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, no, because it's weird. Like you're supposed to take something seriously. Like there's some dissonance, tone dissonance sometimes in the series because you're supposed to take some things very seriously, but then other things are like laughing matter, and they like it doesn't matter. Like
yeah.
it's there's not important.
No. But it's, as I said, it's a weird choice given that violence is a topic in this conversation, like in this episode.
Yeah, because and also like Fire said nothing. They had no discussion. Like
Yeah. And as you said, the way they
what's fine
met
with them?
was like Fire protecting him.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't know.
even,
I'm
and the other
so
thing is,
confused.
that's right. And I think we talked about this maybe in the last podcast, or maybe we just talked about it, just you and I don't remember. But like in every instance that we've seen of them interacting, even before when like Dynamite was driving him crazy and Fire hadn't realized that it was driving him crazy because he liked him,
Hmm.
he never reacted violently with him. Like he
Hmm.
chased him a couple of times, but even when he like kind of, um cornered him, after he chased him over the tennis courts or whatever, and and Dynamite shut the gate so it looked like he was, like trapped. And he's like, "Oh no, you trapped me," or whatever. Even then, like he could have, shook him or hit him or like done whatever to him. Instead, he was just frustrated and just kind of like told him off. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
like that. So this is a little bit. I mean, it's clearly meant to be a reactive scene. You know what I mean? Like he's not,
Mhm.
it's over the top and it's whatever because it's like an immediate reaction, like fight or flight kind of moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it it's just weird because of how they've framed everything else in their
Yeah.
relationship. So, and then we
And
had
then it
Prem
gets,
returning the basil, which was long
yes.
overdue.
I wonder, like, were they trying to make it look like the chef was actually a good guy and he only got rude and predatory because Prem did not directly reject him? Is this what they're
See,
trying to
and
say here?
I have issues. There's so many. Like, I don't want to have issues because I do love this show, but like I have issues. There's so many things that, and we had this problem with Last Twilight, so I was trying really hard not to do it with this show
Mm-hmm.
because maybe we're expecting too much of Jim and BL. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is a BL. It's not, some groundbreaking television show where they're
No,
trying
but
to be
why?
different.
Why?
But I don't know that they're necessarily going to be holding things to the standard that we're holding things, because to me, this sends a really bad message. Like this whole thing about him like being predatory because he didn't get an actual like no or whatever, even though Prem tried to do that and he said, oh no, don't
Yeah,
tell me now or whatever. To me it's
yeah.
like the same, it's along the same lines as like people who say, oh, that girl deserved to be attacked or whatever because she was wearing a short skirt. Like it lends itself to that kind of mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
that I felt
Mm-hmm.
very uncomfortable with that. Like I do
Yeah,
not really like what they did with the chef's
yeah,
character in this episode.
yeah.
Like
Me too.
I was okay with
Mm-hmm.
them making him a predator in the last episode because it fit. It did really did fit. And but to make him like
It
kind of
felt
the,
realistic. It felt realistic.
yeah,
Okay, this something like this could happen.
that's right. And then to make him the martyr of this episode was just, it felt
Yeah.
very icky and uncomfortable to me all of a sudden. It's like, you know,
Yeah, it's like you're like they were leading us into one direction, then suddenly like, no, we're
mm,
not going south, we're going north.
yeah.
Because what are they trying to tell you?
Thing is,
Why?
I said, I think they're not taking it that seriously. I don't think it's really been thought about that much, and unfortunately, it's like
Yeah,
as I
no,
said
that's
with,
weird. It's weird. See how they put so much thought into some topics, but then they treat other things so carelessly, and it's like, hmm, they focusing on some certain topics, and
yeah,
the ideas that they bring up are actually profound. When they do that to you, you are being trained to watch this thing, to
to
interact
expect
with
it.
this thing in a
Yeah,
certain way. Yes, to like engage with it on a certain level. So when something that is superficial is happening, you're suddenly digging too deep, right?
yeah,
But anyway, this doesn't feel like like it's a very stressful. It's an impossible not to think about this, not to
yeah,
analyze what this character is doing.
yeah.
For
And
example,
I
for
mean,
Kate, let's say that the hit, like the comedy, like let's hit fire and let him fly over the room. Maybe I can see how some people might not have an issue with this, but
mm-hmm,
this character, because stuff like this happened in our series, and I just think that it did not fit the characters and the context of their like story and the way
yeah.
it was cut. I did not like it.
Well, I feel
But
like
with this
it wasn't.
character,
I feel like it wasn't necessary too. Like he literally, as you said,
yeah,
could have just shoved him away. It would have been super suspicious because they like from her point of view, they literally weren't doing anything. They were just like messing with each other, which like guy friends do all the time anyway, you know. And
what if
so
they felt what if they felt like if he only shoves him away, they would have to continue this scene. Like it would feel like something has to happen after. But if he shoves him away, suddenly like something very drastic happened, and they can cut. You know,
yeah,
like
maybe
they
I don't
can
know.
move on.
That would
Anyway, yeah,
from a filming perspective that would make sense. Yeah.
but it
So
did not
it's
feel good. But it
no,
it it only makes sense in comparison, but it
yeah.
does not make sense in the
and
context of the
and
episode.
as you said, it doesn't make sense for the characters. So but yeah, and so we had, as I said, we had Prem returning the basil to the chef and basically him finding the rejection in it, which is like, I'm just felt like saying like, finally dude, you've got the message. He literally had to write it on a piece of paper for you so you would listen to him. And then in contrast to that, we have Ten arriving home whistling and remembering all their sweet kisses from during the day. um
Yeah.
and him and his father, like, they just cannot have a conversation, like, even in this where there was like no like real hostility between them, they were still so hostile with one another. um
What I thought was hilarious was that the dad watches a cooking show.
well, I
So
wondered
turn
as
to the
well,
rescue.
yeah, I wondered as well, like, if he didn't watch it because Prem was on it, do you know what I mean, like, because he knew that he was going to be um competing. I feel like he's got enough money and he's the kind of character in one of these shows that would, would have found out information about the boy that his son is like falling in love with.
I thought that their exchange here was interesting because the dad said, "Can you stop trying to win against me?" And he also said, "But you never listen to my warnings." And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Because it's not like Jen has a history of violence. Like, no, it only makes sense if he already knows about the violence which he cannot if he was not there. So
I
what is the
just
point of
it
it?
was
It
it
was
was
just
a
like
weird.
writers. Is this like writers' clairvoyance? Because by saying that, they make it sound like he's so wise he can see trouble coming, which
Yeah.
I just don't
Yeah,
understand
and how he
how.
says, oh, like about something like, if you need my help, don't come and ask for it, or whatever he says to him.
Yeah,
It was
don't
it
come
was very
begging for
much.
help when you are in trouble. Like, why would he assume that there will be some trouble? Like,
Yeah.
are
As yeah, I agree. It
they
was a bit
trying?
of
Are they
writer's
trying?
clairvoyance right there. That's definitely what it
Yeah.
felt like to me. So okay, so
So then I have
the
the
next bit,
bullies.
yeah. So this bit is the other bit that I really wasn't a fan of, because I feel like they spent way too much time with the bullies this episode. We had the scene where they're remembering, like, filming it. We had the scene where they're in the pool talking about posting it, and then we had the scene of them talking to press where they were like talking about, like how they're the victims and everything. And any one of those scenes would have been sufficient to tell their story and make 10 Prem and sorry, not 10, Prem, Dynamite, and Samsi's story worse. Like, we did not need all three scenes. It was a waste of story. It was a waste of time where we could have been having more um Fire and Dynamite. We could have had the scene that we wanted. We could have had more cute moments between Ten and Prem. We could have had Sam C and Matha moments. Like, literally, it could have been spent way more wisely. Now, it was only like a couple of extra minutes, but I feel like it was wasted. So it was
I
unnecessary, and I
just
feel if they were really wanting to give them like more screen time, then I felt like they should have used it in a better way. And one of the things that I felt also really bothered me with this, and I get it, they're bullies, but it really bothered me that they had um the female bully in this storyline is just as ugly as the guys are about this whole issue. And it's very clear from the video that um it's very clear from the video that this is not a cut and dried thing that they've recorded. And it would have been nice, maybe, if they wanted to spend extra time with the bullies, if we actually had the girl character, like, maybe go to Ten and Prem's defense later or something, because I feel like what was happening was really predatory. And from a girl's perspective, or even like people who are queer, and even guys get themselves in these sorts of situations, not get themselves in, find themselves in these sort of situations where someone is taking advantage of you and you can't do anything about it. In this day and age where, like, all of these things are such big topics, it just felt really uncomfortable to have like a character who, should know better, taking
mhm.
advantage of something like this. It was
I had
uncomfortable as
this
well.
I had this weird feeling like the villains feel kind of one dimensional to me, because in
They
this
were
story where
character,
the
yeah, they
characters,
were
yeah,
character. I cannot say that word. Character.
caricatures, yes,
No,
but just
caricatures.
as like, yeah,
Caricatures.
yeah,
I got there
just as
eventually.
with the tone dissonance, because like we have these characters who are so amazing, they're so insightful, they're so wise, and they say things that like shake your world. And then there are these people, and okay, I understand they're the villains, right?
Mm.
There are people who are just very mean, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like the people who are in this story, they feel a bit like they do not fit, because if you're making creating characters that are feel realistic, why not make these people feel realistic as well? Because I feel like people who are mean like this, they usually think they're right. Like,
Mm-mm.
they usually think they're doing like a good thing, like they're defending someone, or like they're rescuing someone. They feel like they are justified to do what they do. But this scene made them look like Disney villains who just do
Yeah.
evil stuff for evil's sake.
And I think that's what I was trying to say. I feel like if we'd at least had one of them, and I feel like the only character potentially that you could have got that from would have been the girl character. Have her at least have a slight questionable morality issue where she was like is this really, should we really be doing this? Like, what kind of message is that sending, or something like that? And then have the others like go ooh to her and like kind of make her
I think
get on
you
board,
expect
because
a
that's
lot.
what
You
villains
expect a
do.
lot. You expect a lot from female characters, but in the real world,
Well,
it's like
I mean, do you know
the
what? Like
features
any of them, any of the three, if we'd had at least one character, one of them be like, hey guys, really, is this something, you know,
doubtful.
yeah, and instead, and
Yeah.
like have the others bully them into it or whatever, because that's a realistic thing. But we didn't
Hmm.
get anything like that. So she said, they're so like one dimensional. It was just a waste of the episode. There are so many other things I would much rather have seen. I was not at all interested. In actual fact, when I did the rewatch, I just fast forwarded straight through that bit, because there was nothing to gain from it except for frustration.
And then you will see the scene with Ten and his dad, and Ten's
Oh,
dad tells him that it's not okay to use violence to
it's
protect the
so
people you love. I
hypocritical.
guess. I guess what
It's
he's saying, what his meaning is that it's so only okay to use violence against the people that you love, just
it's
like him
just
with the clap.
it is so like I mean, yeah, it's this scene is so hypocritical, the way he talks about violence, and yet he's hit his own son. So he's, as I said, he's the wrong person to try and convey these important messages that are actually being done, because even though there's some truth to his words, like because it's coming from him, it, his actions are above it all. And so I find it really hard to take him seriously, and I'm not surprised that Ten reacts in the same way. Like, I feel like this conversation should have come from somebody else in Ten's life, because then, I just feel like it would have had more depth to it. But as I said, we don't know what's going to happen next week. They have all of these major issues between the two of them. I mean, the heart of their main issue, obviously, is that, I think, is what we're meant to understand, is that their main issue is the fact that Ten blames his father for his mother's death, for not acting, and his father is angry at him for reacting too much. So, you know, it's just. But then he says something like, he says that really important line where he says, "I'm your father, and I understand your reasons," like because he knows him. But like other people aren't going to understand. They don't have that luxury of knowing that he's a good guy, or that whatever, they'll make assumptions and stuff like that. But I'm just, this whole bit with him and his dad, the message, you have to, like, we keep talking about like what's the message and stuff like that. And I just feel like in this instance, you know, it's like, is the message that, violence is bad unless you're hitting your son? And what kind of
Yeah.
message is that? You know what I mean? Like, and as I said, maybe this is one of those instances where we are just expecting way too much from them. So maybe they will address it later on. I do think it was interesting that um Prem mentions it, like when at the
Yeah,
end of
mentioned
this
it.
at the end of the episode
Oh,
he actually
well,
mentions it. He says, what does he say? um do, 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 do.
do you mean
Yeah, I
when
said
he
it's interesting,
remembers?
if they're not going to address the father's violence, that Prem brings it up again, because he says, "I remember he slapped you when he found out you were learning to cook with me." So it's like
Mm-hmm.
they haven't just let it be forgotten conveniently. So his speech earlier on is still majorly hypocritical, right? Because they just reminded all the viewers again that the father is also has this violent thing that he does. So if they don't deal with it, as I said, the message here then is, it's okay to have, you know, okay, violence is never okay unless you're hitting your son.
It's
But
okay. It's okay to. It's not okay to use violence to defend the people you love, but it's okay to use violence against the people you love.
yeah, well, that's
You know,
another way to put it. So as I said, the fact that,
like
they
family,
had
family violence is okay, kids.
the fact that they had Prem bring it up again, to me, was interesting. So maybe that will be brought up again in the next episode. But
I,
yeah,
I
I don't know.
really, I really don't like the dad. He's so unreasonable. He does not make sense to me. Like when he suddenly was like, "You're hurting the person you swore to protect," as if he cared at all, as if he knew what was coming all along. Like, what is he trying to teach them? Not to care about anyone? And when he
Well,
says, when anger gets the best of you, there will be consequences. It felt so weird because it's not like Tan was known to be an angry person. Like, he was angry with you. He did not
yeah,
need this lesson.
that's right.
As if
We've
he
only
knew
seen
that,
him. Yeah, we've
as if
only seen him
it
in
was
this
like if
point
he
be
knew.
angry. Yeah,
Yeah,
with his
it feels
father.
like it's as if he knew that liking Prem would make Tan violent.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
why would that be true? Like, it's like he in his head he decided that if Tan starts caring about each other, it will ruin his life because he will be
well.
violent. He will be do
I
that.
did
He will blah
actually
blah blah.
wonder if it's because he Ten kind of tells us himself a little bit why, like, I wonder if they're going to be doing I wonder if they're going to do this thing where, like, I had this picture in my mind of where I think they were trying to go with this, the way they were trying to link them, because Ten brings up his mother with his father. Like, Ten
Hmm.
loves his mother. She can never do anything wrong because she's
Hmm.
dead. She can never disappoint him. She can never anger him. She can never do any of the things that his father does to him on a daily basis because she doesn't have the opportunity to disappoint, like, the child version of him. Like, he's always going to have this picture of her in his mind. And whether it's the whole picture or not, who knows? Like, there could be a whole other side to their story. Who knows? Probably isn't, because the father seems to be a real dick. But we only have his version, like his very biased child version of, like, what happened back then. And so
Hmm.
he has this thing where she's perfect and he loves her, and, like, he does not understand how his father is the way he is about the mother. And
Hmm.
he brings up the mother as an example as why he did what he did for Prem. And father, he says, if a man or men were bothering her and, like, trying to make her do something against her will, which is how he saw what was going on, and he wasn't wrong,
Hmm.
wouldn't you do something to stop it? And he said, no, I wouldn't. And it's like, well, first off, um you're an asshole, because I'm sorry, like, if someone you like, okay, violence is never the answer, but let's be honest here. If someone you love is being hurt and you can stop it, and the only way to do that is to put yourself in that situation where maybe you might get hit, or that person might get hit, or, like, whatever, like, you're not just going to stand there and let the person you care about be harmed, like,
Do you
unless
believe what he's saying here? I don't think he believes what he's saying here. That's just bullshit. That cannot be true.
you would hope so, because otherwise it's like, what kind of a
You
man
know,
are
because
you? But
it's
anyway,
weird because I feel like what they're trying to tell us, or what he's trying to, what they're saying here is that, oh, anger gets the best of you. Don't use anger. But what he's actually trying to teach them, what I'm reading from it, is he wants Ten not to care about anyone. He wants Ten not to get attached to anyone.
yeah, I feel like he and that could be because he's worried about how he'll react. Because, as I said, his attachment to his mother is what creates the drama between him and his father, right? So his
Well,
attachment
that's
to
just.
Prem, yeah, I know that.
I'm. I'm.
I'm
I'm
not saying it's
actually.
not.
I'm linking this not to Tan and his attachment to the mother. I'm linking maybe it to the dad and his attachment to the mother.
No, I
Maybe.
know, but he also may be looking at the way Ten reacts to things, and Ten's very reactive whenever anything to have that comes up between them about the mother. Like, it's always about the mother. That's the main thing that flares things up against, like, between them. And
Hmm.
and he has the exact same reaction when the father mentions Prem, because
Hmm.
he also thinks that Prem is perfect and he loves him. So
You think he thinks Prem is perfect? Do you think
Ten,
he idolizes him?
I don't necessarily think he idolizes him, but I do think that he thinks that he is work like it's so funny because Prem, and I was going to mention this later on, and I probably will when we get there, but, like, Prem doesn't necessarily think he's worthy of the support and
Ken's
things that
love.
he gets from 10. Yeah, whereas 10
Hmm.
thinks he is more than worthy. So I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that it's idolation, but I do think that he thinks that Prem is pretty damn perfect.
Hmm. Yeah.
So and I think that that is very similar to how he feels about the mother. And so from a like, okay, if the father wasn't a bag of dicks, and he is, but let's just say for a moment he wasn't a bag of dicks,
Hmm.
you would be concerned as a parent that he's exhibiting similar behavior when reacting to negative things to do with this person that he loves, that's very similar to the way he does about the mother. Like I can see why that might be a trigger for the father, but at the same time, the father is a bag of dicks. So,
I don't. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because isn't that how you are with the people that you love?
yeah, but
Aren't you supposed to?
not
Aren't you
everybody
supposed to protect
necessarily.
them?
Yeah, you are, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm just, he does get very angry with his father about
Well,
the
because
mother.
his father is a dick.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, I know.
supposed
I'm
to
saying,
protect, and like,
I know,
it's
but
not
what
like
I'm saying is,
he.
if we're taking out the fact that his father is a bag of dicks, because he is a bag of
Yeah.
dicks, but let's just pretend for a moment that he's not, and Prem
Hmm.
still acted this way, then it's an irrational behavior. So
It's
if you're
not.
Mr. if you're
Yes,
Mr.
but
Bag of
we cannot
Dicks,
take this out of this, because it's not. And him being, foreseeing the fact that 10 would hit someone, it's just doesn't make sense, because he reacted to,
unless he's
to,
like father like son,
oh God.
because the father likes to hit people. I'm just, yeah, I don't know. As I said, it's a very confusing, whatever message they're trying to bring here, unless they bring it around and they resolve the issue of him hitting his son, the message for me
Mhm.
is lost in this instance. If there even is a message, maybe there's not. Maybe they're just, I don't
Maybe.
even, at this point I don't know what the hell they're doing a little bit, because no, because I can't see how, like, these arcs that they're creating are going to be resolved in one episode. If this episode had like 14 or 16 episodes, at this point in time, I would have, I would have very little problems with a lot of the stuff that I've had problems with in this episode, because I would feel
Mhm.
fairly confident that in the next 3 or 4 episodes, they would resolve these issues in a way that would be satisfactory. But we have literally one episode left. We have like an hour of television left, and we have like quite big storylines. We have the rest of the competition, which is going to take up a big chunk of the storyline. We have the father issue stuff with Ten and Prime. We have Fire and his mother and Dynamite. Like, and hopefully something to do with Samsey and Metha. I'm clinging to that until the last seconds of the show, and even then, I'm going to watch it right to the end of the trailer, just in case they give us some little tiny bit, like a little mouse dropping at the end. I'm
Yeah.
I'm invested, but yeah, like I just don't know how they're going to be able to put out all the fires they keep creating
I
in
feel
this
like
episode.
they pretty much dropped the violence arc. I think that's all that everything that they wanted to say with this, and
Yeah.
it does not align with the way I see the world.
Yeah, I think it's jarring too, because as I said, one of the things that they do really well in this show is the relationships between like the main characters. So we have these two characters who love each other and are honest and have conversations, and things don't get festered, they get dealt with. It's very, very healthy,
Mhm.
green flags all the way relationship content. And then you have this like very toxic behavior like between him and the father and stuff. And I mean, that Prem is learning from his behavior, because he says to uh Prem later on something about it being his fault or whatever, and Prem says, no, I know you were trying to protect me. And
Mhm.
Ten says to him, yes, but like, I need to stop I need to stop this like behavioral track so that you don't get hurt again in the future because of me. So he's learned his lesson. Like he has learned whatever the like I get part of what they were trying to do here, and he has learned the lesson, but like he's not the only
Oh,
person who
you know
needed
what
to
it
learn the
feels to me
lesson.
like? You know what it feels to me like?
What?
It feels like they wanted to like to have these lessons taught in this series. So they wanted to have the lesson of you need to be yourself, because if you don't, you'll always stay like this. And they then we had, the whole crisis that Fire went through. And then we had the lesson of you need to do everything that you cannot control everything. And we had the thing with what was her name, with
Oh,
the woman that looked
oh
like Ten's
god.
dad
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Ten's mother. And I
yeah.
feel like in this episode they wanted to teach the lesson of don't be violent or else there will be consequences. And in order to have this story happen, they forced the character of Shang Ma to behave in a way that did it was suddenly extreme for him and different. They forced the dad to say some stuff that did not make sense unless he knew what was coming. And then here Dan was in this situation where like he reacted to what was happening in front of him, and suddenly when everything went back to normal, it's like what just happened. And suddenly
Mm-mm.
he needs to be taught a lesson you know
Yeah, yeah.
Chiang Ma is back to being his old self, and he's a good guy, and now Tan is a bad guy because he reacted like in an extreme way.
It's interesting though because it's a funny contrast to that, because once again, as I said, one of the things that they're doing really well in this show is that Prem doesn't blame Tan at all for any of this. Like when it's all coming down, it's all falling apart. Like none of them really Samsi and Metha and that are all a bit like, what the hell was he thinking? But none of them
Mhm.
were really angry with him or blaming him for like them almost getting kicked out of the competition for any of that sort of stuff. Like I've seen many BLs, and like this is a refreshing change because there's been so many BLs that I've seen where there's been some little tiny misunderstanding, or maybe one
Mhm.
character has made a stupid mistake and the other will completely vilify them. Like they will
Mhm.
literally, like, like sometimes it's not even their fault, and it becomes so extreme and so over the top the way this, supposedly like, character who feels like they're in the wrong behaves so extreme and so over the top about it that you have to suspend your disbelief when they eventually get back together again. Like you kind of have to just pretend that none of that happened and move on,
Mhm.
because if you don't, then you're sitting there wondering like, how on earth could they actually be a couple now? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because this
Mhm.
person thought they did this and then they did this really horrible thing back, or like whatever. And
Mhm.
then you have this show that's like, it feels very refreshing and very healthy, and just actually it's just really nice to watch, like
Mhm.
where they're not blaming each other for things. Like, he 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 really didn't like it when Tang gets on his hands and knees in front of the chef, because as I said, once again, he did not feel like he was worthy of that sacrifice, I guess, of from Tan,
Mhm.
the sacrifice of his pride or whatever. Whereas
Mhm.
10 has no issue doing it because he feels like he has to, and he feels like Prem is worthy of it. Like he's worthy
Mhm.
of him sacrificing all of his pride. Like it just
Mhm.
it actually, the two of them are very sweet characters, and so when you have them do something like what they did, where they like twisted a little bit, it does leave kind of a bad taste in your mouth, because they've
Yeah.
done everything else so well, and it feels so right, and as I said, it's really nice to watch. It's refreshing, it's relaxing, it's fun. And then
Mhm.
you do this and it's like, well, why? Like I to me it's like, either he's a predator or he's not, the way that
Mm-hmm.
they dressed him in the last episode was he was a predator in that episode.
Well,
And so now it's like they're trying to make him not seem as bad as he really
mm-hmm.
was. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I really, the other thing I didn't like is I didn't like how they openly admitted that they had put Prem's team in as like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, I really just did not like that. I felt it was unnecessary, and I don't, you know, they could have done this part of the story where they had done like, you know, you had the executives talking, going like, oh no, what are we going to do? Like, how do we protect our contestants or something like that? And Shang Ma being the problem, because like the way they painted him last episode, like he easily could have been the problem. Even in this scene, I did not like it, because when Prem is down, like begging for Ten is down on his knees begging for forgiveness, the way that Shang Ma sort of is looking down on him, and I don't mean like just because he's on his hands and knees, like he does this thing where it's almost like he does this deep sigh, like, oh, I suppose I have to forgive you, like, but it's so beneath me, kind of like the attitude that he has in this scene. I really didn't like it, and it's because it's Ten. Like, I get it, he doesn't like Ten, he's majorly triggered by Ten, and in actual fact, I love when Ten gets up off his hands and knees when because Prem says about how they're going to pull out anyway or whatever. And the chef says to him, oh, can we talk alone or whatever? And Ten like gets up off his hands and knees up to his full height, and he's actually taller than the chef and everything. And he's intimidating in that scene. Like you see the chef kind of like not retract, but he definitely is like taken aback a little bit by him. Like you can feel that he feels threatened by his presence. Like he knows, I think, now that he is not as, you know, maybe not in the world, but definitely in Prem's world, he is not significant. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's just I the motivations behind what's happening, you know, it's like I just really didn't like it. And it's like it's weird though too, because I don't know how to feel about the chef. As I said, like, I don't like him, but I also kind of felt bad for him as well, because he's clearly being rejected.
Yeah.
And then he has this conversation alone with Prem, like he asks if he can, and he is allowed, and which is hilarious because like it's in front of that big window, and you've just got
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Ten looming in the background, like watching. Like he's like, there's no way he's gonna let them be alone. Like
He
he
will
does
not
not trust.
listen, but he will watch.
Yeah, he does not trust the chef at all. Like he wants him in viewing point. Um, and at this point in time, like I don't blame him. I don't blame him. This all started because the chef did what he wanted, like without any regard for Prem, right? And so what it was, he didn't care about what Prem wanted or needed. And so in this scene, he's like trying to talk him around. He tells him what he likes about him. He likes his determination. He's trying to bolster him up so Prem will continue in the competition. And it's like he's trying to light the fire again in Prem, you know, and it's just, it doesn't really work. So Prem is pretty much defeated when he leaves. And then
He's just
he's a
he's just not dynamite. He's not his dynamite.
no, that's right. And then he's alone with Ten for like a few minutes as well. They say very similar things to Prem. He says quite similar things to Prem. Like he mentions the termination and stuff like that. But he respects, like he hear when the chef says his determination, Prem does not hear him. When Ten says about his determination, he listens to him. Like he respects what Ten is saying. Like, and he comes out of that room strong and bold again. He doesn't seem broken. The lights are on, the way they're holding hands, and it's like he cannot be any more rejected in this moment than he is. And I felt a little bit sorry for him, but I'm also like, yeah, this is how it was always going to be. Like he was never yours. And then I kind of get pissed because he created all of these problems. So I just, yeah, I mean, I had big emotions watching this last part of the episode. Like when when Ten got down on his hands and knees, I started crying like a crazy person. I do not know what it is about Off, but Off will kill me in every show that he is in. Like, Gun cries beautifully, and I know you hate it when I say that, but Gun cries beautifully in pretty much every show they're ever in. It's soul destroying, right? There's beauty in despair, okay, right? That's what I mean. And his crying is soul destroying, right? Don't get me wrong. But I don't know what it is. It's usually like the last 1 or 2 episodes or something. And he destroys me. There'll just be one moment and I'll just lose it. And I won't know why, exactly what triggered it. Sometimes I know why. But in this moment, I could not have told you. Maybe it's because I thought it was really beautiful the way he just did not care about his own sense of pride. When you've got someone like Prem who's so kind of almost hyper fixated on like what people think of him and everything, which is another reason why you could see that he was like very uncomfortable with Ten doing this. But he just did not care, and I don't know, maybe there was beauty in that or something, I don't know, but I lost it. So I lost it, and I just managed to get back to normal. And I'm just like, because like the chef is doing his thing, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then we had Ten and Prem in that room together, and Ten is saying all of these beautiful things to him, and Prem is like, I'm not lame, and Gun is doing his tear thing, and he did this weird thing with his face where he kind of screwed it up once again in a very kind of awkward but also beautiful way. And I was
I
just
think
like, I
Ten's voice broke a little bit when he was talking
yes,
to him, and, like holding
yes,
his hand and talking
yes.
about
And then about these are the hands that
going
make
on.
the boat. I was at it. I was off again. I was gone.
My
I was
God,
just
I just
bawling so
my
much.
eyes teared up right now when you were talking about it.
I had like boogers and everything. It was very unattractive, and I was just and I was just, and I just love, like, it's so funny because I was watching this and I got taken out of a little bit for a second while I was busy crying, because I love it when Off Gun hug. And what I mean by that is it's always so real, no matter what characters they're playing. Like, they just really hold on to one another. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain
Yeah,
it with actual words, but I
beautiful
feel like,
hugs. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like if you watch them in shows, you'll know what I mean. Like, like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen other actors quite do it in the same way. And it's like, it's not even always the same with the different characters they're playing, but there's this thing to it, this essence to the hug, where it's like, it has such a realness to it because it's such a complete, like, I don't know, I can't, it's like, I don't know, I don't know how to use my words to explain it, but I feel like if you're a Bobby, or if you've ever seen Off Gun in a show, you know what I'm talking about. So
I really liked the conversation they were having there. I liked how sincere and real it felt. It felt very real to me. It felt like something very intimate that might happen between two lovers, and the person who's broken and the other one being the strong one, and like
yeah,
being so upset to seeing your person broken and defeated like this, and trying to make them feel better. I don't know, something about the scene did something to me, and now I'm remembering it, and I'm starting to cry.
yeah, it was a beautiful scene, and I feel like part of that is that, as I said, they just have this essence to them when they have these really dramatic scenes where um it's like, I feel like as well with these characters in particular too, it's not just like what they were saying, it's how they speak to one another. Like, I think I mentioned it earlier when, like, clearly Ten was upset about that note and everything, but the whole time he's talking to Prem, he's doing it in such a soft tone. He's like, they have there's this intimacy between these characters that, like, they've had for a really long time, like even before, you know what I mean, like when they were first, when Prem first realized that Ten had issues with, like, physical contact, and like there's all these different ways that they've been communicating between the two of them for a really long time, that it's so intimate already. It doesn't surprise me then that when they are physical with one another, that they do sort of go in all no, like, no, with no restraint, because they are already
Yeah.
emotionally invested in each other in that way. Like, they
Is
have
that
not
moment when
restrained.
is that moment when they like one character looks in the eyes of the other character, like they hold eye contact for real, and it's so open and tears are flowing and the words that are coming out of their mouth are like coming straight from their heart.
Mm,
And that bond that they are creating or solidifying in that moment, that is something that they're going to that is going to change them. Like they were
yeah.
not the same people that they when they entered their room as they are um when
Well,
they
when
come
they
out of the
left.
room.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean that's sort of what I meant as well. Why I felt actually did feel, as much as I don't like his character, I did actually feel a little bit sorry for Chef Shangma, because it is so apparent that, like, when he left that room, Prem was a bit broken. When Prem came out that room hand in hand with Ten, he is alive again. Like, he is Prem has helped sorry, Ten has helped put Prem back together again. Like, and it's not like, it's not something he's done for him or done to him. It's like this I liked the visual of them holding hands, because to
Yeah.
me it was something they did together,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like
As a
that is
team, I
also, that's
think
the
that is
essence.
something that that happens when they are in Sam C's apartment and Tan wants to take all the blame onto himself, but
Mm.
Bram holds his hand and tells him they're a team now. So it kind of came around at the end
Yeah,
of the
like full
episode.
circle.
And was
Yeah.
that,
Which was, as I said, we I know we bitched a little bit about this episode, but then you have like these moments that are really clever, that are really beautiful, that were done so, so, so well. And it's like I can almost forget some of the other stuff. Like, it's just, it was the and from this, I think I've just worked out what it is about Off Gun's hugs. When you hug people, like, or when people hug, it's more often than not like one person is hugging the other person, right?
mhm.
Like, even if both people are hugging each other, usually one person is hugging more tightly, they're holding on firmer. There's something like that. When Off Gun hug, they both are hugging each other. Like, they are doing it together. And I feel like these characters as well, this is what's happening. Like, when with their characters, that's what they do. It doesn't seem to matter what character it is. And it's not consistent all the way through whatever the drama is, because obviously sometimes beginning of relationships, characters are more hesitant or whatever. But at some point in their shows, in their characters that they slip into, they usually almost always, I find, get to this place where they are hugging each other, like they are both equally holding on, like, as tight as fuck. And I felt like that was very much in this scene as well, which I that with the hands and the yeah it was a very powerful scene, hence the bawling and ugly crying that was going on over here.
And then suddenly Shangma is the hero who fixes everything
Uh,
and people believe them.
yeah.
And
Well,
people suddenly,
he's famous.
I guess people suddenly forgot about the fact that the other group of the bullies accused
Yeah.
the free month eaters that they are basically like abusive.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, and I
Suddenly
feel like they forgot
Shangma
that plot
says
point.
something. Yeah, I don't know.
I really liked this scene as well, because it made me laugh after still being ugly. Where Ten comes out and he says to Prem, like, is the feedback more positive since the video got released? And Prem says about how, like, Chef apologizing was like really impressive or whatever. And Ten's like, how dare you praise another man in front of your man? Like, he seems so
I
like,
know.
but
To
he's just,
me,
but he's actually like, he says to me, man, he's like, no, of course not. He says, because, like, this is good. Like, this is
I
a
feel
good thing.
I feel like in real life, people would start liking Shangma more, but they would still not like uh 10. They would still hate the Three Musketeers after something like this. I feel like,
Yeah,
Shangma
he's
would
not.
look very good
Yeah,
because he's like the martyr right now.
yeah. He's the martyr. That's right.
He'd be like, oh,
He.
he's such a good guy. How could 10 have hit him? Look how good he is. I feel like that would not, the feedback would not be positive for
Yeah,
the
or
first
and you'd have the contingent of like what are they called? What's that terminology? Apologists who are like saying that, you know, 10 should be not 10, Prem should be with Chef, even though like he's predatory, because he's a better choice than like 10. Like, why would you choose 10 when you could be with the Chef? Like, you know, like you always have these people who, when someone does something that's like wholly inappropriate, they're standing in a line to tell you like why it's okay, because like this person is like not like everyone else who's also like that. And it's like, well, you know, if it barks like a dog, looks like a dog, farts like a dog, it's a dog. Have you some really weird things here in today's podcast? Bag of dicks.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be fun for some people. But yeah, I
Oh,
did like.
when did the scene where they are preparing, like the one that looks
Oh,
like
that
they're
comes next. That comes
training?
next, where they're doing the training. Yeah, there's this montage of them like practicing and getting serious. Like, it was, to me, it was brilliant, but I was so bitter about it because I feel like it was a perfect missed opportunity sent from heaven for
Yep.
some Sam C method cuteness, complete with
Oh,
comedy. Like, they could have gotten some great
I was
comedic
so
moments from this.
disappointed.
Because seriously, a scene where Meth is like trying to wipe Sam C's brow like out of nowhere, and Sam C just be like, "What the fuck?" would have been
Why did they
brilliant.
do us to us?
Would
Why
have
did they
been.
do us to us?
I know it would have been
Like
brilliant.
they dangled this amazing thing in front of our noses, and then they just took it all away. Like, it's so
Seriously,
cruel. Why?
Can't you just picture that scene? You know, we have like Prem hugging 10. Sorry, 10 hugging Prem, who's crying. We have, you know, Fire mopping Dynamite's brow, and then you've got Sam C sitting on the ground, and you could have had like Method just appear from nowhere and be like mop mop mop, and like,
Eating him or
and
something.
yeah, oh
Giving him
yeah, and like
meatballs.
yeah, that's right, and Sam C just being like, what the fuck are you doing? And it
Yeah,
would have been so funny. It would have been really, really funny, but also like,
yeah.
if the others can have cute, sweet boyfriends, why can't Sam C? I was so angry. I was so bitter.
That's
I was like,
even with the even if it's not suggestive, like, why, if you started that thing, keep it up.
yeah.
Keep it up. Like, why
Look,
wasn't he there to tease him or something
I
and support
I
him?
am
Like,
I am very firm in my belief that even if they do not give us this, in my mind, in two or
that's
three
your head
months' time,
canon.
they would have started dating. Yep, like I can't believe this. I'm even feeling that I might get pulled out of like fan fiction, like retirement, to write like
Ooh,
a Sam C method where they get
oh,
together, because if they don't give it to us, I'm gonna need it. So I'm either going
ooh,
to go
no, I'm
hunting for
excited.
it, like I'm hoping someone else will write it instead, because then I don't have to do it myself. But if no one else does it, I may have to do it, because I'm just like, there are so many missed opportunities just in this episode alone. Like the bit at the very beginning where we had Fire kissing Dynamite on the head, and then 10 kissed Prem on the head, and then 10 sort of looked over to where Metha and Sam C was sitting, and I was just like, I feel like probably the actor who plays Metha was doing something funny and drew like Off's attention, but I also kind of went like, that would have been a great opportunity once again. And as I said, even just for comedic relief, you could have done two things here. You could have perpetuated the fantasy for those of us who are like totally into a Metha Sam C relationship, and you could have
Mhm.
just like continued the bromance, like bickering, by having like Metha attempt to do the same thing to Sam C, and Sam C be like, do you want me to kill you? Like, it would have just been amazing. Like, please, like, what? So many missed opportunities.
No, because if you think about it, it's kind of sad. Why did they this like why not leave them be a team then, you know?
Yeah,
Why did they have to include Ten and Fire in that scene and then show some C alone on the floor? That was kind of sad.
I know, right? It was a really good scene until that part, and then I was just like, where's his cute boyfriend with like snacks or whatever? He would
But
he
it's
would
his
totally bring him
battery.
food. He totally would have
Yeah.
bought him snacks. That's what Method would do. He would bring Samsy snacks.
Yeah, because
I
now, like, it would be even reasonable for Method to be there because he always hangs out with Ten and
yeah,
Fire, so he could be
yeah,
there and just like watching or
that's right.
whatever. It
Yeah,
would
well,
be
because
reasonable
that's
for
what
him
it
to
would
be
be
there.
at this point. It would be because like the three of them are just hanging out together while their others are doing stuff, But
Yeah, so him not being there, like, it was sad.
I literally have in my head this head canon where because I feel like Samsy is the kind of character who would just not get what Method was trying to do without Method either really like spelling it out, or even then I
Mhm.
don't think he would trust him. Like I feel like
Mhm.
Method would have to like confess and give him meatballs. Like give him all of the meatballs. Like literally if he showed up at his door with like all of the meatballs and he was just like, I like you. Here, have my meatballs. And then still feel like Sam with C would be like, what the fuck? But he would totally take those meatballs. So I'm like, I want the meatball scene. Anyway, as I said, I may have to write it.
Once
We,
it has been recorded, Zoe.
this went
We have it.
this went off on a weird tangent, but anyway. Um the really cool thing is I know that there are a lot of other people out there who would totally like Team Mathis MC, which is so awesome. And I'm gonna be so bitter if they don't give it. Like there's literally people the people want it. Give the people what they want. Anyway. The closer we get to the end, the less likely it's getting. Especially because we there wasn't even a little hint. I was just give me a little hint, feeding him something when they're in to their time of need. Anyway, or whatever.
Well, then they continue with the contest, and
Yes.
they are one of
Oh,
the two
a
teams
little
that get to the finish.
another little interesting not me like Easter egg in this. Did you realize that Fire was wearing one of Sean's shirts from Not Me?
I don't think I noticed it when I was watching it, but I saw it on the internet.
Yeah. So like I don't know I know the dinosaur thing was in like one of the first or second episode, but I don't know if there was anything else. I'm super curious now to know if anyone else noticed any other little bits and pieces. I think it's quite amusing that they've done that, but yeah,
Oh,
they
do you
made
think that was a Easter egg? They just sometimes use the same clothes in different
I
series, so it
I
might not
think
be
well,
their
I don't know about
intention.
the clothes. Yeah, I think the clothes was I'm just calling it that because
Uh-huh.
it's a yeah, either clothes definitely because yeah they have the same wardrobes for stuff, but and I believe someone else wore this shirt and something else in the not so distant
Mhm.
past, but I couldn't tell you what show it was. Um,
Mm.
but the little dinosaur thing or whatever it was, that was definitely a throwback because that was such a random thing to just have in the cupboard. It had to have been on
And
purpose.
then Fire is overjoyed.
I'm kind of just like, where's he going?
What a tiger in front of everyone.
I know, right?
Suddenly, he doesn't care
No.
about anything.
And as I said,
Suddenly, after
it would make
when
sense if we had more of the scene that we had because doing this immediately after that scene has makes no sense
maybe it's like,
because they haven't
he's
won
okay with
yet.
himself, like he has accepted himself basically, and he does not care about everyone's reaction but his mom's.
Maybe
He's
he
worried
doesn't
about
think
his
his mum
mom.
will watch the cooking show, but
He's very
apparently everybody's watching the cooking show because she sees it.
he has a very acute reaction to his mom.
Yeah. Well, she majorly like triggers him. So, I mean, in the trailer, he says something to her like, I can't be myself or say my true feelings or I'm afraid or yeah, it's it's upsetting the words he uses.
If she's actually, okay with him being gay, but she was concerned because he would not focus, he would not be serious,
Yeah.
and telling him that he's telling her that would be pretty hurtful to hear as a parent.
Yeah,
That would be pretty horrible.
I'm actually really curious to know what her reaction is because I know we talked about this earlier on in the show about how.
No, but imagine, like, he's hiding it from you so hard. Like, he hit his fucking lover in his chest. He threw across the room, hit his head. That's how far he's willing to go. Basically, that's how far he's going to hide this
Hide
from
things,
you.
yeah.
And then you find out when everyone finds out in such a
Mm-mm.
way. That would be so upsetting.
Mm.
That's worse than what the friends did to Sam C.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where, as I said, I'm very curious to see how she reacts, because, as I said, I think I said when we were talking about the scene between them, that it would be even more upsetting to have witnessed that and then realize that it was for your benefit only.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. He seems very upset in the trailer, like after they've had a conversation. So I'm very curious to know what she says.
Me too.
Um, and yeah,
I hope she's okay with that, and it's all in Fire's head. Like, it's about him and the way he sees his relationship with his mom.
mm.
I don't want her to be homophobic. I want
I
her to be just,
feel,
a
yeah,
caring mom.
I feel, yeah, just a normal neurotic like helicopter mother who doesn't
Hmm.
want him to date because she thinks it'll distract him.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but
Because honestly, they do not have time to deal with a homophobic thing.
no. Well, realistically, the way they can really do it is have a resolution, which is the same as Dynamite's, which is that they just don't interact anymore, and that's probably not. While it is a realistic ending, it's probably not like the cheeriest of endings.
I don't think this is where they were going with this storyline with
No,
Fire
I
and
don't think so either. But as I said, the closer we get to it, the more I'm like ticking off these things that they've got to accomplish in like 54 minutes or whatever it is. So,
because I feel there's a reason why Dynamite feels like he's very similar to the mother somehow,
yeah,
but Fire reacts very like in opposite ways to them.
yeah,
Like, Fire sets the fire inside of him, and the mother puts out the fire in him,
yeah.
basically.
It's interesting too, because I feel like we talked about this, I think, at some length, about how in the future I can imagine them being quite friendly and like actually banding together, and and Fire being like, oh crap.
Yeah.
because they are, quite similar. But
I'm also very curious to see where they're going with the dad thing, with Ten's dad.
yeah, same.
I have very, very conflicting feelings about. No, actually, I don't like him, but
Yeah,
I'm going to have conflicting feelings if they. Uh,
try and make you like him. I feel like if they address his violence and he accepts it or whatever, then I half my issue with him will be gone. Um,
they will not. They will
it
not. They will not.
Well, I didn't think so either, but then why have Prem bring it up? Because like half the audience, like you if you're not going to deal with it, you want the audience to forget about it. You don't want them to remember it, and they brought it up again. So that to me was very strange. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but um, yeah, there's that, and then of course, whatever
I
the
just
weird,
feel like, for example, in Deja's dramas, the dad was a bit of a dick, right? And he
yeah,
hit Kang, and then when he got hurt, Kang came to him. Was like, "I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry, Dad."
oh yeah, that was frustrating.
Um, yeah, I cannot really see.
Yeah, but that show wasn't about like them. It wasn't about Kang being violent. Well, I mean, okay, and not to not in the context of like him and
That actually made sense for him. It made sense here. It doesn't really make sense, considering that he started off as a bully.
yeah,
But I feel like the only way to make this satisfying actually is for the dad to realize that he was being a dick all along and to actually ask for
apologize.
forgiveness. Yes, but
Yeah,
I
that
somehow doubt that they'd go there.
we really don't see parents ever apologizing for shit. It's pretty rare.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we had the father in Last Twilight, but let's be honest, no one actually cared about that. None of us really cared about what he did or didn't do because,
Why are you talking about random dads again?
yeah,
No one
because
wants them here.
no, that's right. No one actually cared about him because he was in the show for like 10 minutes, and it was 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's yeah, and then of course there was that whole weird uh paying Sam C thing that I don't know what they were trying to allude to, but I'm slightly concerned about. But
Maybe
yeah, with
Tang and Mecca, who knows?
yeah, it could be, but at the same time, as I said, I don't see how because he's only just started hanging out with them. I don't see where she would have seen him before. He's a university student, she's a high school student, so unless she randomly saw him in the street and was like, "Oh my god, it's that cute boy I saw." I don't know. I mean, I suppose it could be something like that. But then once again, why waste time on it? Like, what does that have to do with anything? So, um, yeah. But
I
yeah,
don't
and then
know.
of course, sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then of course we still had a little bit of the show left because we had Prem getting shy again and then being at the market and him like basically not liking being teased. And when he says to Ten, "Are you shy?" and Ten says, "No, I wish I could tell the whole world." And Prem's like, "Maybe we should tell your father first." Um I was just like, there was, and they were so happy at the end of this episode. Like, they were like, "Oh, yes, we're gonna go, like, go there and they're, like, hand in hand and we're gonna tell them that we're boyfriends." And it's
Why are
like,
they
it
so
just,
optimistic? As if the dad has ever been reasonable.
no,
He's
I
never
don't know.
been reasonable so
It's
far.
like, I'm like, come on, Ten, come on, Prem. You both know it's not gonna be sunshine and kittens. Why are you grinning? But they're in their own little like we're boyfriends and we're holding hands like bubble or something. I don't know. But
Can
yeah.
you can you imagine like the next episode starts and they enter the house and the dad is like, "I'm so sorry for everything," and hugs Prem like, I'm your fan.
Yeah, you're the
I
son
would
I
die.
never knew I wanted. It's
Yeah.
just like unfortunately in the trailer we have this trailer where it looks like he's like walking away from them. So and neither of them and neither
Yeah,
Prem nor Tan look very happy.
but it doesn't say. Maybe he went to like bring a very expensive bottle of wine, and they're like, "No, no need. Why? Don't do this." And he's, "No, I'm gonna
He's like, this, whatever we're eating needs more sauce. I'll be right back. And he storms out to go and get more sauce. And when he comes back, he's
go."
fine because he wasn't angry about them dating. He was just angry because there wasn't enough sauce. Yeah, okay. That's a possibility.
Why not?
And then Metha
I
will
hope
take
I
all of
hope it
the
happens. I hope it happens.
yeah, and then Metha will take all of the meatballs and give them to Samsi, and Samsi will be like, "Oh, Metha, all of them for me?" Yeah.
And actually, Pram got embarrassed because she earlier saw Meta and Samsi being boyfriends together, and she didn't know how to act around them, and that's why she ran away.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, because she could be the only ones that knew about their like secret rendezvous to go and get the prawns. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like another missed opportunity would have been like them doing something shady together and Prem coming across them like he did with Fire and Dynamite, when they're under that thing, and he like kind of caught them. Like for him to have a similar sort of situation with Samsi and Mather and just be like, "Oh, not again," like because he's like not allowed to tell anybody.
I feel like maybe what needs to like for me to be satisfied, where it needs to be happen is for Dan's dad to apologize, and maybe for Fire actually to apologize to his mother, and for his mother to be hurt by the fact that he was afraid to tell her, and but did tell the whole world. and he was
Yeah.
going to like extremes
Yeah.
to hide this, even though he was going to extremes to hide this from her.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't. I still feel like I need a scene where they have a conversation about what happened in tonight's episode. Like I don't like that they just left that based on their history and everything and how they met and stuff. I don't like that they, even though it was
Yeah,
meant to be comedy or whatever, I'm not happy with that. So I would have I'm like you, I like would like an apology, but I also would like one for maybe Dynamite.
I feel like
And
it's not going to happen, and it's kind of
no,
this opportunity has been lost. There's no way they can fix this. This is
I
what
feel
I
like
think. There's no way they can fix this.
yeah, I feel like Dynamite doesn't need it because Dynamite is happy. You can see he's happy with Fire in this episode at the end and everything. So it would purely be what do you call it? For us. And yeah, they're not going to do it. They don't have the time, I don't think, to do everything. But yeah, I'm like you.
Unless
I need the
unless the
father to
mom is like,
apologize.
how dare you? How dare you? Like you're dating him and you hit him. How dare you? But I don't think that will happen either.
Yeah,
So
and I feel like yeah, I feel like we need a Ten's father rather to apologize, but not just. I want him to apologize to Prem as well, not just Ten, and which I really don't think is going to happen, but I would like it to. And
are we setting up ourselves up for disappointment though? Because
I
we're
know,
like,
like
this needs
I'm
to
not.
happen. This needs to happen.
To me, this isn't my list of things of like I'm not gonna like this show or I'm not gonna be happy if this doesn't happen. This is
Yeah,
just like a wish list of things I would like to see.
yeah.
I'm confident that they will end this in a way that I'm going to be satisfied, more or less. But like,
Mhm.
I'm also kind of like, I would really like to see this. I really want Metha and Samsey. I feel like I've made that completely clear in this episode of the podcast. And if I haven't, well, I apologize, and I'll work harder next week to convince you that I really want it. But but yeah, so I want that. But also, I'm like, and it's so funny because I don't think it's necessary in any show, but I'm like now feeling like it's super curious to me because we didn't have um Tan and Prem playing Scrabble at all in this series.
Mhm.
And as I said, I don't feel like they need to necessarily. They've almost played Scrabble a bunch of times. Like they're definitely going to play Scrabble as soon as they work out where they can do that. But the thing that it's funny to me because we went through like the normal like episodes where that would normally happen, you know, we got that episode and it didn't happen. And then the next episode we were like pretty sure it was going to happen and it didn't happen. And it's funny because I was thinking about it like last week. I kind of expected it, but then when they should have played Scrabble, they had that conversation where Prem said he wanted to wait until after the competition. So if they're gonna
What did
play
they do?
Scrabble, if they're gonna play
What did
Scrabble at all in this episode, in this series, it will be in episode 12.
what did they do? I think like in Bad Body, at the end of Bad Body when they start kiss
Facing
like
each other. It would very
uh,
much fit the characters, but like I feel like
and
they
then
need
the
to go
door
back.
closes and the show is over.
They need to go back to the hotel that you has the rooms that you rent by the hour and get themselves a meal and then get themselves a room because like where else are they gonna do it seriously? I must
Now I'm
admit
thinking, and I really, I don't really know if I probably just end up not liking Ten's dad because I really don't think they're going to make him apologize and realize that he has been a dick. As
no.
for the mother and fire thing, I'm
The other
flexible about that. I'm curious where they're going with this. Actually, it, I'm not really expecting um him to apologize. I would be curious for that to happen. That's a theory,
yeah.
that would be interesting for me to watch.
Well, with Ten's father as well. I mean, the other thing is they kept building this up to this big thing where like Prem Ten blames his father for his mum's death.
Hmm.
Yet not once have they actually had a real conversation between the two of them about what happened. Anytime
Hmm.
Ten gets angry, his father gets defensive and they just argue and then like either one hits the other one or they leave. So like I don't feel like we're ever going to find out, like his reasoning or his story from what happened back there either, which kind of feels a little unsatisfying because they made it such a big deal, like pretty much all through the show.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they play it all out and everything, and what happens and stuff. But
The three
yeah,
musketeers will win the competition, right?
I would assume so. I feel like they have to, but then at the same time, like, because
But
there's two things.
what do they like? They cannot set up these bullies to be these villains and then have them win.
They can't win. If I feel like the three must eaters have to win, because the
Mhm.
only way they could have done it where they didn't win is if they hadn't knocked out the other team and there were still three teams in, and it was like going to be like first and second, and the other
Mhm.
team came first and they came second, and the bullies didn't even like come in at all. Like, to me, that's the
Mhm.
only way they could have done that. But because they kicked out the other team and it's just between the two of them, you can't let the bullies win.
But what if in the end they're like the bullies win and then they look at the three musketeers and like, okay, I guess you're good. This would be like that would be fitting actually for the way they handle some of their character arcs
Mm.
in this series.
Yeah, they would be like grudgingly dicks because, like, I mean, you already know that they're threatened by them anyway. That's the whole reason for all their drama, why they keep behaving this way, because they're jealous. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know where they're gonna go with it.
Well, let's see. So I guess this is it. We keep like
I
getting
know.
back to the same topics again and again.
Yeah, we could. Otherwise, I could just sit here and start writing another Method Sam scene, like how they get together fanfiction live on the podcast. But yeah, as I said, my dream solution is that he confesses by giving him all of the meatballs. I feel like it would be a fitting, like, full circle moment.
Yeah, yeah. Just like in the first episode, huh?
Yeah, well, I had this whole thought. I was gonna write this big meta post, and then I never got around to it. But I had this thought because we had Tan and Prem who knew each other beforehand, like had seen each other beforehand, noticed
Mhm.
each other beforehand, and then we had um Fire and Dynamite who had known each other from before. Like, Fire just didn't remember him until Dynamite started talking about it. But
Mhm.
Dynamite was had this crush on him for a long time. And then we had that scene in the very first episode where, like, Metha almost goes out of his way to be a massive dick to Sam C, where he takes all the
Mhm.
meatballs. Like, he's such a dick
Mhm.
about it. Like, and
Yeah.
in the context of everything else that we've seen since then, and if like they were actually going to put them together or whatever, then it's very much like pulling pigtails. And so I had this whole idea, like this whole meta idea in my mind, that maybe not Sam C, that Metha had been like watching Sam C or had liked Sam C for a while. And it's interesting too because like Samsy's changed like degrees and departments and stuff, and I really want to know what Method does, because I'm like, what if they were on the in the I had this whole like world building happening. I'm like, what if they were in the same department and he knew him from there and he was like, oh, I like him, and then he changed, but he's been watching him and eating all the meatballs while watching him.
He did that to get his attention.
Yes, he was pulling his pigtails. But yeah, so as I said, the confession could only go one of two ways. You have to give him all the meatballs, or just like lay one on him. But I feel like the meatballs would be more meaningful. So anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining Zoe's Method Samsey fanfiction podcast.
Follow us on Spotify, on Tumblr, on Twitter. Talk to us. And thank you for sending us asks and
Oh my
reposting our posts. It feels like a
Christmas,
holiday every time.
Christmas, birthdays, Easter, all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.